Hi everyone, this is the 9th video in Yamaha style creation series, and this video is about a setting in the style creator. This is used to set the key ranges and the octave of the chords. When we play styles, you might have noticed on some keys the patterns are played in a lower octave. When we move to another key, the octave may go up. This happens because of the parameters in the high key and note limit settings in the style creator. This is a style I just created. Now A minor plays a pattern in the lower octave. Same with B as well. This change happens after G, so it is getting applied from G sharp. Let's go to the style creator. Going to the SFF edit page. The pattern is in the chord 1 track. This is a setting, high key and note limit. Here the high key is G. This is a default value for this track. This means after the key G, the patterns will play in the lower octave. I'm changing it to B. Let us preview the style. Now the octave is not lowered. This is a use of the high key settings. But remember, this setting will work only when the Ntr setting is root trans for the track. There is a detailed video on Ntr and entity settings. You can find the link to that in the description. One point to note while creating custom styles on Yamaha arrangers is that there are different values assigned to each track by default in the Ntr entity, Retrigger Rule and the high key and note limit settings. This will result in the same patterns playing differently in different tracks. So we need to be careful about the settings in each track. If the patterns in your custom style are not playing in the correct way, the settings in the SFF edit page would be one of the probable reasons. This is a high key and note limit parameters for the bass track. Now in the chord 1 track, it is different. We just modified the high key from the default in this track. This track has G, C-2 and G8. Same for the other tracks as well. Now the Ntr and Entity Parameters. This is different for each track. This is root fixed and melody, root trans and melody, root trans and chord, root fixed and chord, root trans and chord, root trans and melody. These settings control the notes in the generated chords when we play the style. So even if you record the same notes in multiple tracks, they may play differently if the default parameters are used. This is a retrigger rule. Here for the bass track, it is retrigger to root. This is retrigger. This is pitch shift. Pitch shift. Same here as well. The link to the detailed video on Retrigger Rule is in the description. What I wanted to say is, if we don't tweak the default values while creating the styles, the result may not be the same as we expected. So it is important to be aware of these options. Let us come back to the high key and note limit. Here in this track, these are the notes I have recorded. They are in the octave 4 and one is in octave 5. The number along with the note name is for the octave. This is a source pattern. So when we play the style in C major, the same notes would be used. In F major, it would be F4, A4, C4 and F5. In G major, it would be G4, B4, D5 and G5. This is a normal setting, but we can restrict the notes from going beyond a specific range of keys. For example, we can limit the highest key to C5 so that when we play an F major chord, the last note F5 would be played as F4. This is useful to prevent some instrument sounds from going beyond their natural range. We can set the highest key here. I am setting it as E5. This means any notes which are going beyond E5 would be automatically transposed to one octave lower. Let us preview the style with this setting. Now the last note in F is played one octave lower. Same for G. A is also in the lower. Here in B minor, the last two notes are lowered. The notes in F should be F4, A4, C4 and F5. But since we have the highest note set to E5, the F5 would be played as F4. When it comes to B minor, the notes would have been B4, D5, F sharp 5 and B5. Since the last two notes are above E5, they are played in the lower octave. The low key limit does a similar thing. It prevents a note from going below a specific note. Here I am setting it to F4. The low and high key limits form a key range. The minimum range should be an octave. Here I will not be able to select a key after F4 because the high limit is E5. If I need to change it to G4, the highest limit should be at least F sharp 5. Here in C major, the first two notes are played in the higher octave. The lower limit is F4, so the notes C and E cannot be played from octave 4. So they are transposed to C5 and E5. Now I'll show you the settings in one of the factory styles. This is for intro 3. This is a bass track. This track has different values. The note limits are different here. This is main A. Default settings here. Different values in this track. This is just an example of the parameters in this setting. So this is a note limit and high key settings. When you create custom styles, check all the 4 settings in the SFF edit page for each track. If they are left with the default parameters, the patterns may not play in the expected way. There are detailed videos on these settings and style creation. You can find the link to the playlist with all the videos in the description. That's it for this video. See you in the next one. Thank you.